Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Interface. This week we're joined with Anna-Sophia. As always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Anna, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. Yeah, hi to both.
Lovely to have you.
Yeah, great to have you on. Flown in all the way from Seattle, right?
Yes, came in Seattle Wednesday and I leave tomorrow. So under a week here.
Yeah,
Mhm.
nice.
It's your first time over here?
Yes, my first time in Dubai. Yeah, it's been lovely. Actually from the desert in Mexico, so a lot of similarities.
So you felt at home, at least.
Without the sea part, I'm like, yep, feels like home. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be good to hear a bit more about yourself, Anna. So, for people that don't know you already, you want to tell us a bit about what you're currently doing and about your background?
Yeah, so I'm a principal product designer at Microsoft, and I've been at Microsoft for over 9 years. My career in UX has been for 15 years. I started in a consultancy called Effective UI, acquired by Ogilvy, and then I decided to, in the United States, move back to Mexico. I freelanced, and then I've been at Microsoft. And Microsoft's been super fun since I've been changing roles like every year and a half or teams. So I started with music streaming, Xbox Music, and then went to HoloLens, and then ended in the CRM space, and then automation tools, and now agent creation, so Copilot Studio. So usually somehow luck and saying yes to the right things, I end up in the innovation spot for that particular time period. So it's been super fun because usually there's a lot of ambiguity and you create like the clarity where the industry might go. And so, yeah, I love that.
That's really cool. And clearly, because you're good at what you do, you're able to get these opportunities too. But currently, like, you're principal product designer, right?
Yes.
And I don't know if everybody knows truly what like that means.
Okay.
Like, so, like, what's the difference between a principal product designer and a product designer?
Yeah, so I think it's more about the scope. At the end of the day, usually when you start your career, you're defining like someone already did the clarity for you, the ambiguity, and like say like this is your actual scope of work. There's like you have to add a sign up flow. And right now for me it's like, oh, how are we gonna get users onboarded? We need a sign. So I come up with I start looking into the problem space of the business and the customers, and then with the user needs, and then start defining there. And so I actually sometimes don't even end up doing the end designs, and I have a lot of colleagues that I lead. And so it's been great because I go to like the ambiguity and say, let's cut this noise. Let's not focus on this problem that's not aligned to the business. Let's focus on this other problem. And then from there, like, okay, I created a little bit of clarity. Now we have to add this particular feature and then go design it. And I chime in sometimes like, oh, let's try it this other way. So I think being a principal, you have to be more business mindset, more PM-like product thinking. And then the UI, UX is like the next, how you deliver the outcome. But it's the strategic piece and where the vision, where do we think we're going. So there's the other way. Like I can tell my colleagues, like create this feature, but because I know in 3 years we need this and that will sustain in 3 years. Versus so we just do the immediate need of like we need a close button. Like no, that's not solving what we really will have to fix in 2 years. So really thinking strategically and it's really reading, looking at competitors, looking in LinkedIn news every day, being curious and learning.
And you manage, like, you lead a team as well.
Well, I'm not a manager, but usually what happens, I have a scope of work, and then I work with other colleagues, and I just go and I'm like, okay, this is the scope of work. Help me out here. Yeah.
Yeah, no, because I wanted to make that distinction because a lot of people out there, they might see the title like principal product designer and just think it's purely IC, which it is IC, but you are also leading, right?
I have to mentor, yeah.
Yeah, and like a lot of people think that you're just a much higher skilled designer, but they forget or are unaware of the fact that there's other people who are learning from you as well.
Yeah.
So I wanted to kind of make that distinction that there are still some leadership responsibilities.
Yeah, and for example, and a particular colleague might be the lead, but I'm behind the screens or behind the wall, like doing like the connections for her and making sure the PMs and the engineers know where we want to go, where the vision is, and she's still designing, she's still leading that piece, but I'm more doing the strategic to unblock her so she can deliver. And it's a lot of mentorship too. So giving her, you have to present here for visibility. You have to reach out to this other team because they're doing something similar, and let's leverage each other. So it's a lot of, how you say, like mentorship. Yeah, it's talking to people every day.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because look, I know different countries or different parts of the world look at the same role differently, or they might have different names for it, whatever, right? Even different companies in the same area have different names for their roles. I mean, what you were mentioning there as well, it is a lot of responsibility, right? You actually take on quite a lot. And Jay was talking a bit about how, yeah, it's kind of like, you know, you're IC, but then you're also doing the management, you're doing the leading part of it. And the term that we hear a lot nowadays, or I'm seeing a lot more online, is this player coach, or they call it player coach manager kind of role, right? And that is definitely something that is trending at the moment. And it feels like that's more where companies are moving to now. Are you seeing that in your organizations or people that you've spoken to, that designers are being asked to get a lot closer to the work, especially senior designers that have a bit more skin in the game or have been working in the industry for longer? Are you seeing that they're being asked to kind of come closer to the work?
Yes. So even the CVP, the Corporate Vice President of Design in my organization, was live coding and showed it to set like now, like even an executive that hadn't touched a Figma or a frame is doing actual outputs. So it is now asked from everyone, even my manager. He has to become more IC, manage and deliver something for me as well, because I wanted to move more into the coaching and no, you have to produce output. You're an IC. I'm like, okay, that's true. So it is that we all now have to be more closer to the making the tools. And that's how you create the value at the end of the day. So you have to show like, oh yeah, I created this workflow. Doesn't have to be screens, because with AI doesn't need to say a UI. But it's like, what output did you bring, or what clarity did you bring, right? And so I do see that every time you need to be closer, because in order to showcase that, you need to test it. You need to talk to customers. And how do you do that? By visualizing it, doing a prototype, and so it's, yeah, everybody has to now produce. I think that's where we're going.
Do you see any trade-offs with that though? Like at what cost?
The challenges is, for me, the stepping on other people to, like, there's no clear ownership of like what's you own. Because if we look at, for example, the product that I'm in, we're 50 designers for one product. So you could say like that's too much or that's so little, I don't know, but I'm going to step on other people's part of the work, and if I want to think holistically for the customer and think that end to end, right? So I think this is where there's going to be a little bit of like the bumps, is like what ownership means. And that's where I think the player and teammate comes in. I don't take myself as an ego, like I have to be the one that say I shipped it, because at the end of the day, I feel like as a product owner that I want the success for the product. And I prefer to like, okay, you can create those things, and you know, and I put my input to see if like it's going the right way, and give you data so you can trust my input, of course. But yeah, it's more, I think there's going to be some trade-offs, like who owns it, and then when do you step back? Let's think about like what's best for the product. It's not on what you're making, right? It's like we're all a team. So that's going to be the interesting part. Some of the trade-offs is like you cannot be everywhere, right? So I cannot like be coaching and then delivering and then be in meetings, doing visions, presenting visions. So it's like you have to pick and choose what to let go. And I've been choosing to let go more of the control of the exact UI that's getting pushed, which sometimes it's hard, to be honest. I love my craft and I want to be the one that's doing it, but I don't have bandwidth, have to let go. And also, I rethink it in my head to say, I'm giving the opportunity to my colleague now. So it's just rethinking how you frame it. Instead of saying, no, I don't have my capacity anymore, so someone else has to do it. Like, no, I'm now giving this opportunity to someone else so they can grow in their career, so they can like also have influence and start growing more into senior roles.
Yeah, that's an important note actually. It's like in let in letting go of some responsibilities, you're enabling someone else to pick those up whilst
Yeah.
you learn some new sets of responsibilities as well. So you're all kind of growing. I guess it is kind of difficult to kind of let go of something if it's like a core passion, right?
Yeah.
Like, I know, like I'm not like involved as deeply in that project as I would like to be, but at the same time, you're learning new skills. You mentioned something about it's like, is it like almost like an expectation for everyone to be more kind of IC, and does that include
Yeah.
like product managers as well?
Yeah. Yeah. So we're all have now are changing the way we work, and we all have to like be delivering more. Um, I've been seeing the product managers are doing more with the evaluation of the LLM. So doing more prompt engineering. So they're doing some engineering at the end of the day, prompt engineering, and instead of just writing specs, because a spec now AI can help them in 10 minutes, right? Like, cool. They don't have to spend a week. And so they're going more into like now the granular piece, like how are we training the data, go through that. And for me, it's more like the connection, the front end. I'm going more through that. And so engineer can have more time for the back end and connecting the systems. Sometimes what happens, like some engineers don't like the front end and they just do it because they have to. And as a designer, there's a lot of design depth. They have to go put for bugs in the quality. So now it's giving design more control on the quality. And I'm not coding. I'm just prompting and saying like to Cloud Code or GitHub Copilot, Figma make like, hey, create this. I'm not in the HTML, CSS nor anything. And then I pass it to the engineers. That's what I've been doing for now, for these past 2 weeks or 3 weeks that the cloud mode came in and we got access to Cloud Code and Microsoft. But it's gonna be interesting. I think like the next 6 months to 12 months, I think in a year we're gonna be talking about very different things.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I think definitely like the way that we design is like changing because of like these tools that we have now, right? Like the capabilities and stuff. Like even like before you might spend like a ton of time in Figma with plugins to trying to get that animation exactly right. But now you can just connect a cursor or you can just do it in Figma Make and say, I want it to interact something like this. And the developer's like, okay, cool, we can do that. Or actually, you know, it might not work because of this one. So I think it helps facilitate the conversation a lot better as well. Are you finding that everybody can now design or like visualize? Because we mentioned like they get PMs, for instance, are getting deeper into the LLMs, right? But are they using AI or are they
They're vibe coding too.
able to like visualize the specs themselves and say, I'm thinking something like this?
Yeah, I have a PM that says like, I created a vibe coding and I created a video for you. I think we should ship this. Like this is spec. I'm like, thank you for what you did. Thank you for the work. This is great. Let's go back to the problem. Why did you create this? Why did you come up with this solution? And then and sometimes I say like, now I'm gonna add to it. I don't like disregard the work they did or their thinking. But and then I'm like, I'm just gonna and then I change it completely. But but that's like I just try to like also make them feel, because we're a team and we should all just try to feel like we're productive and we're helping each other. And so I just feel like you're trying to save time for me of thinking holistically. Thank you, but you're missing these gaps. So there's, I think that's where design comes in, that we think holistically. And some PMs and engineers, I just go, this is my area of ownership. I'm just going to do this specific thing, but not that end-to-end customer journey. And design, we think about the end-to-end because it matters where the users are coming in and then getting out. So yeah, it's been interesting, but I feel like we're safe. Yeah, because it's just the yes and.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. The yes and. I think I like what you said about you then add to it. Because like I've seen a lot like this happening a lot recently where I can just open up a Figma and I'll just see something new. Because like either the PMs are kind of using AI to kind of critique work as well, or kind of mock up new versions of it, or they actually know how to use the design system, or they learn how to use the design system, so that they're just like configuring their own kind of screens and saying, I'm thinking something like this. But I like what you said in terms of that's cool, but what about these scenarios, and then kind of building, using that as like a platform to kind of jump off.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
The other thing I see as well, just hearing all this is, if everyone's vibe coding, if everyone's kind of all looking at the product, and you mentioned there as well, like, hey, what problem are we trying to solve, or what's next in the roadmap, or how are we fixing engineering debt? If we're all just focusing on solving, do we lose that? Like, do we lose some of the key things that we should be also looking at? I think that's one of the challenges that could come in the future, where we're starting to see that actually we're all doing the same thing. So do we need as many people doing the same thing? And two, are we dropping things that we should be doing?
I feel like right now leadership has to be looking at like, oh, these different teams are doing exactly the same thing and solving the same problem. And so, no, let's pick one, all of you collaborate, and then I'll put someone so that the outcome is one in consistency, right? So I think there we need to also like leadership needs to be understanding. And then of course, as yourself as well, like don't work smart and hard. So someone else is solving the problem too. Great. Let's talk to them and let's see like how can I add to your thing, or do you want to come and add to my thing? I can do it if you don't have bandwidth. Or vice versa, right? Like this is great. You're gonna do like half of my job so I can relax and think strategically. Because that's the thing that we forget. Like we're working faster so we can sit creatively and think strategically. That's why I think AI is great, because now we have time to think about it. But I know the expectations right now are like, great, you produce something, tomorrow produce something else, produce something else. But this is when we have to push back and say, yes, I'm going to produce something quickly in 10 minutes for you, but let's figure out this 2 days. Exactly the problem. Let's get the customer data. Let's fix, because I don't want to invest and then like have to pivot once we launch it, right? Or we're about to launch it, engineer already like put the back systems. And then we have to pivot. So this is where rapid iteration can help, but you have to say like, I now need time because I'm able now, instead of spending 1 week doing a prototype, it's 10 minutes, but now I can have 2 days of like actual thinking through, actually grabbing the materials, the data, talking to research, maybe talking to a customer, and then like go from there. So, but it's hard because we have to push back right now. And so I'm not saying that's going to be easy. I think there's going to be a lot of bumpy roads right now because expectation is deliver fast, right? And so it's like, how do we tell them, yes, we have the tools now to be faster, but also the whole point was so we can sit and think strategically too.
Absolutely. And the other thing as well is like, are we doing enough around thinking about this new model? Because there's change, right? We used to be agile, you might work in Scrum or different ways, right? But now this AI has kind of created a whole new process. It's like, and that's something that I've been noticing a lot with teams that I work with, is like, we actually need to start thinking about how are we actually doing that new process? What's it going to be? What does handover look like? Is there even handover? It's like all these things, right? And it's like, again, coming back to my point I was kind of saying before, is like, if we're all focusing on the product and no one's thinking about, hey, how does this actually work, guys? Like going forward, including our senior leaders as well. It causes a bit, someone's got to be looking at that, right?
I do feel like it's gonna change a lot for us, and we're gonna have more ownership on the product in the sense that we're gonna be delivering the front end. I feel that's where it's going. Because if you already did a Figma make, you already have the code. Right? Like just put it in the repo, and then engineers should do all the guardrails. Like I don't give me the key to the customers. I want to break something and security risks. But I saved you like 2 weeks, which is great, right? Like you don't have to do the front end that you don't like. And so just export it, let's put it in the repo, and then do like the security checks and everything and all the true process that engineers go through. But I can see what you're saying, Tara. Like we'll have to think about it, and I think it's gonna be a bumpy road because we're gonna see like, oh, we're not thinking holistically, we're not thinking where it's going next. We're just delivering quickly. Right. But that's where we need to come in and be proactive and to be more in the product space with the managers, understanding the quantitative, the telemetry, and then the market fit, understanding how the revenue works too, like how licensing works for my product. How can I bring more? Where if it's adoption, where it's going down, if it's a retention, if it's a conversion, And then plus when we talk to customers looking at the user needs, like, great, I hear this user need and I know what the telemetry conversion rate is low. Now let's see what the problem that I can solve here and then the solution. And this solution will be either for tomorrow and the next 2 years. I know we're going to have to solve it in the next 2 years because it's, again, the conversion plus the qualitative with the quantitative. So it's when you have those two, you're going to have to go through it one either tomorrow or in 5 years or 2 years. That's how I see it. So you have to focus on the right problem that scales.
Absolutely.
How do you convince the business that this is like a long-lasting problem, so we need to solve it today rather than
it takes time.
It's going to be a problem into it. Do you know what I mean?
So I actually had designed something in April 2024, and I said, we need this. Can we ship it? And engineers were already like prototyping, yeah. And then like higher ups were like, no, let's not invest in that. Let's pivot. And like, we're gonna need it. This is like for the creation flow. Like there's huge drop-offs. And then we shipped it in October 2025. It took a year and a half. So I'm not saying it's gonna be like tomorrow and then convincing everyone like, hey, listen to my idea. I'm great. I'm a designer and know what I'm doing. Right? But it took like showing this same screen for over a year to the particular people. Like, I'm looking at the telemetry, the conversion rate is low. I'm looking at the telemetry, the conversion rate is low. Like, it's not improving. We're hearing from customers, they know how to get started. And so, and then they're like, oh, what if we add this feature? I'm like, I had the science already, so you don't have to wait for me to do the science anymore, because I was already proactive. And now I had to adjust it to the product change a bit in a year, adjust it to the new styles. But it's like I see it coming. If people don't know how to create, then nobody's gonna click on it. So so it's just being like smart about the problem. And today they said no. Let me continue showing it because I know this is the right problem that we'll have to solve one day. And so just continue bringing it. And then when the product team is ready for it, you are already surprised at their expectations because you already had the designs, you already had everything for them. You're like, oh, great. Here's what I had thought already. Like, let's ship it. So you save time around going through like design reviews and then backlog, and you already had done the work.
It's interesting. Because if I was to kind of summarize into a word, I think the word that comes to mind to me is ownership. So when I think about design teams, and a lot of complaints that a lot of design teams have is we feel like we're just a pair of hands for the execs. We feel like we are a tool, a resource, which is very reactive, right? We're reacting to requirements and changes and stuff like this. Whereas everything that you've mentioned is proactive, right? And I've worked in a couple of environments where that sense of ownership, I think, is what those other designers are kind of like seeking, but maybe they don't know yet that that's how they should behave. So an example is, well, basically kind of what you said is like, you identified a problem that needs to be addressed. And then you didn't ask for permission, you just fixed it. I said, we should do this. This is the right thing to do. And you kept pushing that. And there's probably several other things that you're also pushing alongside. But it's just having that ownership kind of mindset to be like, this is my app. I want the best result for the customer, and just finding things to fix and just fixing it rather than just waiting for permission or waiting for a request. Yeah.
And for example, right now, that flow, it's another design team with another design manager. So you could say that, why are you stepping on that other side? Well, I thought about this problem a year, and we're a team. It shouldn't be like, well, now Jay's doing my work. It's like, great, we're a team. We're a product team. We're both owners, and we should be thankful as an ownership together. It's like we're co-leading, right? So it's like, I think that's the shift we have to do. And I do think it's a lot of like also more junior people you don't question, and you think there's a process, that's what you follow. It's like nobody knows what they're doing. Not even the CEOs, right? So it's like, just try to look for the problem. You're the product owner too. You have investment. I know I get paid with stock, so I want the company to do well too. So it's like, it's also on me. If if someone comes and gives me the requirements, I'm like, that's weird. We should be solving that problem. It's on me if I do the designs for them. And that's what I tell my mentees, like, if you deliver a design means that you agreed. So anything you put in your name is that you are agreeing with everything and you are going to be accountable. Like, and you cannot say, engineer told me, leadership told me, the VP told me to do it. No, you agreed. Because you should have pushed back and said, I'm not going to do that. You can give it to another person if you just want someone to do something for you. That's like my approach in having to take more accountability and ownership. That's how I frame it in my head. And so like that, I'm okay being proactive and stepping in other people's. So it's also how you communicate it.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to steal work from you. I just saw this potential. Nobody's working on it. I'm saving you time. I found the problem. And if you want to finish solving it, great. That's the other way, right? Like, it's just how you communicate and being a team player and include everyone when you're finding the problem. Oh, this is weird. There's this gap. I heard this about a customer. Oh, and then people that you brought in, now they're like convinced on the idea as well. So a lot of influencing as well. Besides the ownership, how do you influence?
I think that takes a lot of humility, to be like, this isn't my lane or my area. I've identified a problem. I'm just going to fix it because I think these are the right improvements to make. And then just like saying, hey, like, I've done this. Like, if you want to pick it up, pick it up. But you're not necessarily seeking the glory for it.
Yeah.
You just want to have the solution in the product because you think it's the right thing to do. I feel like there might be some people that might struggle with that, like that sense of kind of letting go, like wanting to have the credit for that piece of work as well,
Yeah, but and how I reframe it, because at the end of the day, I do have to deliver. That's like, what's my impact? And so you can say, well, the other person finished the work, right? So who had the impact and who's going to take it? Maybe it's the other person. But how I frame it is like, I found the problem that I put them on the right lane. They were going to another lane, and I put them in the right lane. So actually, anything they shipped, it was because of me. So I was the foundation. So that's how I reframe it when I'm in my evaluations. And then people know about who was the one that brought the clarity. And so everybody knows my brand, and then the PMs all usually comes to me, which is interesting. I'm like, no, there's a design manager over there. It's like, no, but I want to talk to you. I'm like, okay. And of course, then I tell the design manager, hey, this PM, reach out to me. I think you should still like your report around this. But yeah, so it's just creating your brand too as well. And yeah, try to be a team player and include everyone.
Yeah, it's a good point you mentioned there, like your personal brand in the organization. And, we're talking about a lot of things around accountability and taking credit. Because sometimes behind the scenes, it's not always clear about what's like being orchestrated, right? And I guess the question I'd probably ask you is, when it comes to the numbers though, because I know, because obviously you're not just here for to meet us, but you've also been speaking at DDX, right?
Yes.
And was at your talk, and one of the things you spoke about was the ROI of design, right? The return of investment on design. So how, as a someone that's orchestrating, you've also got to be able to show your return on investment, right? How do you kind of manage that as a principle in this kind of new landscape we're talking about?
So I do take credit. Like, if someone else finished the work, I take credit. Like, yes, they did it, but they finished it. But who put the foundation? It was me. And I participate throughout, right? Like, it's not that I just let them and then I don't participate again. I participate until it's in the product, until we deliver to the customers. And maybe more behind the scenes, just in the letting the other people talk. And I just comment here and there. But people are seeing me in the meetings. People are seeing that I'm visible. The other thing that I forgot to say is that since I brought the problem, I'm speaking to everyone around the problem, trying to convince, let's go fix this problem. So everybody knows it was my idea, because I'm talking to the PM, I'm talking to my skip level, I'm talking to my manager, I'm talking to my design peers, talking to the engineers, like, hey, there's this thing that I think we're going to have to fix. I think we should go this way. Your thoughts. So I started the conversation, so everybody know who sparked it was me. So it's also put visibility on the work that you do. Don't put it like, hide like me doing it and then like, here, just finish it and then I'm out. No, because then nobody will know. So that's the other thing, right? Like, you have to put visibility and then advocate for yourself in meetings too. Someone, for example, my colleague is doing the designs and then advocate like, oh yeah, like the idea I had when blah blah blah. So like I'm putting myself in the meeting as well. But so I'm doing just for ego and getting that, but it's just making sure that people know that you were part of the ideation, and then you're also bringing still clarity towards that. And so yeah, it's a lot of like advocating for yourself as well. Be vocal. I'm always complaining or being vocal, and so yeah, I told my skip the other day, I'm sorry that I'm the only one that always I know what we need to fix. I know, and I'm just like, I love that. I think more people should be like that. And so yeah, so I think a lot of in those terms.
Yeah, sure. And I think, look, it's something that I think every designer has to face into at some point, you know. And the other aspect as well is, I think as designers, we also need to get closer to the numbers and actually not just show the feature we've delivered, but also, what value did it drive, right? Like, did it actually 10x or did it, what did it do, right? And I think that's where sometimes designers also lack that aspect as well. Right?
And I, to be honest, like how my product is made, I don't have access to the telemetry because it's in Questa query and I don't know how to do that. So, but what I do once we launch it, and I know which day we ship it to private or public preview, I ask the PM, hey, can you give me the telemetry number? Or then I ask research, hey, can we like do a usability testing and talk to a customer just to see what we shipped was right? And then so I take those data. And then there's a every 2 weeks a product a review with the senior executives of the product. And so I usually have like also you have to make friends and allies across disciplines. So I have this friend ally that's like, oh, what are you going to show the executive? Let me see the numbers. And then I take credit. I'm like, oh yeah, see, I increased 1% in here. And so it's being proactive also for looking for the numbers because then nobody's going to share. Right. And so it's like what's being presented to leadership, being curious about it. And then how is it getting presented? And then that's where you see like, well, what did I do in this? What it's getting presented? And it's like, oh, I was part of this. So let me take those numbers and put it into my review and tell my manager, hey, look at this.
I like that. I guess it's also about like seeing things through, right? Because I think agencies in particular have like a really bad rep for people say, oh, but if you're an agency designer, then you don't see anything through.
For that,
But so you just design a product and you leave it on to the next client. But actually, I think designers on internal products are also guilty of doing similar things.
100%.
Because if you ask them, okay, that thing that you worked on, how's it performed? A lot of them probably don't know, right? So I think it's that sense of like seeing things through. So once you've shipped something, like making a note of, okay, it shipped on this date. Did we do research? Yes or no? Should we? How big of a risk is it? Okay, fine, yes. And then planning that research. So then you've got that data set, like you said, to actually kind of present. I think that's a really good framework that people can probably follow to kind of have more of a kind of wider impact. I'm also intrigued by what you said about the whole branding piece and the visibility side of things. Do you think it's easier to do that remote versus on-site?
100%.
Yeah.
Remote. I actually, you would not tell, but I'm shy. Doesn't look like it, I know. So, and for me as a Mexican, a similar culture here, hierarchy, you don't question hierarchy, and it's very similar. So when I would be in meetings, I would not talk because you respect the titles, you respect other people. But in the US, it's very different. You actually want you to question the leaders. They want you to question where we're going. It was very hard for me, that transition, to be honest. And so when we did remote, and I still was not nailing the how do I interrupt someone, and then what if I disagree with that idea, and how do I say my idea, I started putting everything on chat. And that actually gave me confidence. And now I actually sometimes colleagues have to tell me, can you let me speak? And like, so like, oops, I'm one of those people like, people, I'm so sorry.
You've integrated.
But it started with chat, and it was because of remote. And it gave me a voice. And I still do that sometimes because when I feel that I'm interrupting too much and I want to take a step back to let other people finish their thoughts, and so I get too excited, I just put it in chat. So I can also give other people like the space. And so I think remote helps a lot. I don't know, with the hybrid approach, for me, I'm going to start hybrid end of this month. How that's going to work. We still work with international, and my manager, for example, is remote. So I'm still going to be a lot of remote pieces. But I think it is going to be like you have to say your ideas. And I have mentors tell me, if you don't say them, how do I know you have one? And it's true. And then another mentor, a sponsor that I had told me, if you don't believe in yourself, why should I believe in you? And for me, that was like the eye opener. And I went kind of like, oh my God, that's so true. Like if I don't even believe in my ideas or speaking up of what I'm thinking, then why should Jay or Warren, like give me confidence? Like, no, I have to believe in myself. I have to believe in my idea. And then of course, also be open and self-aware if it's not the right track or the right idea, right? Like it's fine. But what I've noticed that we just spitball ideas all the time, everyone, even CEOs, like, oh, what about this? And then when it was like, oh, actually, let's ring the bell. Let's go with that. No one is like, I'm 1,000% sure this is going to work and this is perfect. Let's go execute. That's not really how especially innovation happens.
How do you, because you can voice your opinions, right? And say, I think that this should be the right thing to do. And sometimes it has data, sometimes it might not be.
Yeah.
Right, backed by data. But how do you handle situations where it's pushed back against that idea? So you feel very strongly about something, and then the rest of the team are like, I think we should go the other way. Yeah.
I pick my battles. Sometimes if I feel like 80% wants to go the other way, I'm like, do I really want to do this? They're really going to the fight. And then like, sometimes that's too much for me emotionally. So I'm like, it's just a design. It's just a button. Let it go. But then there's other times that I'm super, super passionate. I'm like, no, I know we have to go through this. So then I start doing one-on-ones to convince them that my idea is best. Because usually what happens when you come into a meeting room and everybody's there and you just show your idea and nobody had heard about it, their first reaction is no. That's normal. Because you did not include them in the process. So they didn't feel part of that solution. So it's like, why didn't you include me? I'm going to say no, like I have this reaction. But if you go through one-on-ones, hey, I was sketching this in a napkin. Do you think so? And so then you bring them and they feel like they're part of the ideation. That's when you can influence. So yeah, it depends a lot of like if I really strongly believe. And then also I have mentors. And I have this specific colleague that I really admire. He's like a head of product that I just go talk to him. Hey, do you think about this? Like, because I'm not an expert in business. So I saw a problem, identify the problem. I think it ties to the business, but I did not go to an MBA or, So I go and like, hey, I see this data. I see this trend. I saw that our competitors are actually going towards this. What do you think? And if he gives me the green light, I'm like, okay, yeah, okay, I was good. Yeah, great. And then I feel like, oh yeah, I'm like the head of products. No. And if he says no, I'm like, oh, why do you think so? Can you give me data points? Where do you think? It's like, I saw that the business, actually the market is shifting towards this thing. Like, oh, where did you read that? So I'm curious. And then I'm learning through it. And then maybe my idea was wrong to begin with, and it's okay. But now I got data on why we shouldn't go to my idea. Because when people just say no, it's like there's no data. You also feel like, well, you don't know anything. Like I know what's best. And so if they give you the reason, then why not? Yeah. And you have to ask that too, right? Because that's the beginning. People just say no and then move on. They're concise. You have to, okay, why not? Like, tell me what's your point of view. Okay, let's start bridging the gap. Yeah.
I like that. It reminds me of like this quote called how does it go? Strong opinions held loosely. So you can have that passion and that kind of instinct to be like, I believe in this, but also have that humility to be like, oh, okay, I'm wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's probably a good mindset.
It's the fail fast approach.
Yeah.
And that's how I think, like, I'm going to propose this idea. I think 90% is true. Let's see. And then so I just propose it, and then it's like the feeling. It's like to say no. I'm like, okay. Yeah. And there was that 10%, and maybe that 10% was right. So yeah.
Yeah, and that's the other thing as well. It's like creating that culture in your team of, okay, we don't know yet, but let's try it at least, right? And I guess, you also have to be open to trying other things that other people might put forward, because you never know how well that might do as well. You know? So yeah, creating that culture of, hey, let's just see.
And sometimes the engineers are the ones with the good ideas. And I take it. And for me, that's going to be easier for them to want to implement.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're like, oh, I didn't think about that. Wow, you're right. Let's implement that. And then like, yeah, you're right. I added an extra step and we didn't need that. And sometimes the PMs as well, right? And like, oh yeah, well, that's a great idea. Actually, I really like your vibe code. Let me just do some polishes with the pixels and the colors. And it saved me time too, right? So, but it's like humility and that culture and giving people credit too. That's the other thing, like where it really belongs, and call out people like, oh, I'm presenting the design. Actually, it came from the engineer. He had this great idea, and so now we're doing actually this, and so calling out everyone who has contributed.
Yeah, these are key. These are really important things to do, and really great takeaways. And just thinking about the engineers, because earlier we were speaking a bit about how AI is kind of changing roles a little bit, One of the interesting things you also spoke about yesterday at DDX was around how the interface is changing, So in the sense that, and correct me if I'm getting this wrong, right? But what you were kind of alluding to was, we as designers always thought that the interface was just Figma or how we kind of design things or craft. But we're saying that actually we're moving into a world now where the interface is turning into more of this prompting interface, or AI is the new interface. We shouldn't be scared of that, right?
No,
It's not about being scared about it. But how far do you think we are away from fully AI built interfaces that we're kind of prompting and just creating designs?
I think it's this year. Like I saw that Anthropic with MCP can create an OpenAI as well, the widgets of the apps. So just connect to the app, and then if you're talking to a chat, either GPT or the Claude, it comes to connect to the app, so it brings parts of the app as a widget. I did not design that widget. I did not tell him like how to bring part of the app into a widget. If it's a form, if it's a clickable button. And the AI decided by itself, based on like, you need this information, let me scrap it from this product and bring you the information that you care about. And so now I'm not designing interfaces, but what I am designing is the output quality. So maybe what it really rendered was not the information you wanted. So let's go back. Why it's not? Maybe the connection failed to the app. Maybe it doesn't have all of your data sets. Maybe you need to do more prompting to it, like you were too high level and you need to be more granular. Maybe we need to teach and invest more in the evaluations. Maybe didn't have access to the library of the app. So it's like, that's where you're thinking more in the engineering part at the end of the day, in like not just a pretty graphic design.
Absolutely. And also it feels like, from what I've been seeing, is you're not just designing the interface anymore. You're also designing almost like the back end that kind of goes into it, right? You start thinking about tokens. You start thinking about how that is going to render the right part of the design system, and how are we going to connect that with the code and things like this. So
it's part of the experience.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like if the data is wrong and the quality of the data is not good, that's experience. The customer doesn't know how the team works, right? Just knows access to the product. It brought me to the wrong location. Why? Then I have a bad experience. But it was really like the UI was there, or like the AI did the UI. But it's like, okay, there's a gap here. Like so you have to be invested more on the quality of the output, because that's experience. We own the experience. Like if they've made like the customer's happy, frustrated, and that's part for right now the quality of the AI.
And do you think, because I know that some people are worried that we're just going to turn into checkers, right? That's all we're going to be doing is just checking and making stuff's okay, making sure things look right. Do you think that is the route that we're going down?
No, it's going to be more PMs. We need to be more strategic thinking and problem solve. The people that just want to do craft, you're not going to last 100%. Like you just want to do UI and the motion. No, like maybe you can be a consultant and like fashion, that you have the couture, but then the mass, mass made. And so where the money is in the fast fashion, not in couture. You make very little, but there's still those high end. I feel that's going to happen. You still do if you love your craft, you love typography or whatever it is. Still, but you're not going to be in the sense of the innovation. It's more like, oh, I want this one-off for this specific exclusive brand. And so you have to become more strategic. And if not, I do think you're not going to be a designer in the next 5 years. Because we're seeing that the AI can do most of that, and how the AI is getting trained, it's getting better usability and better like doing a form or doing things. And so you have to be more strategic now.
So this is going to take probably a bit more of a negative turn, but what does that mean for designers? Because is there enough space for all of the designers to become strategic within organizations, or is it limited to the few?
I think we're fine because usually there's not a lot of designers in companies. If you think about it, I think Microsoft, I don't know the percentage, but I think it's less than 10% of the company are designers. So I think I'm fine, to be honest. Of course, there's going to be layoffs if you're not performing right, like if you're a low performer. So I'm not saying you're safe just because you're in design. You have to actually produce and do the outcomes. But I don't think there's enough designers in companies. And the thing that actually was talking to someone yesterday about is like, if you look how Anthropic and OpenAI started, they had the same amount of designers as data scientists. And they only had 1 PM for that whole, like, maybe 20 people.
Sometimes no PMs.
Oh, sometimes no PM. Yeah, like Cloud Co-work was made by 4 engineers in 10 days. And so I do think like there's still a need for design, but if you're not strategic or problem solving, then you're not. But yeah, I don't feel like it's like there's so many. I think it's more like there's so many PMs, some more PMs, right? Because it's easier to get an MBA sometimes and those things. But yeah, so I think we'll be fine, but you have to adopt, be curious, and be flexible. If you're not flexible, that's where you're gonna lose.
So I agree. I think maybe in terms of the quantity, yeah, that should be fine. But potentially where there could be a gap, just for a little period. I don't know how long, but if we're saying we're going to be more strategic, then the ones that win or the ones that stay are the ones that have that experience, right? So what happens to the junior designers?
Yeah.
They're the ones that are probably going to not benefit from us being more strategic because they won't have the experience to be more strategic. That comes with time, right?
But you can, if I think about it, why do we hire junior PMs? Right? That's the same thing. I think like they went to maybe more formal training. Some PMs come from like actually studying engineering, not business. So I think it's going to be depending on the person, on the junior designer, if they're open to be more strategic, to think about the end-to-end products, to question, to try to really understand how things are made. And to be honest, that was not me in my career. I hated how things were made. I just wanted to make things pretty. So maybe I was going to be one of the ones that didn't adopt. But I do agree that right now, I think this year, it's going to be very unfortunate that I don't think we're going to be hiring a lot of, as companies in tech, junior designers. And I think that's a mistake because we do need to train who's going to replace us. And I always think like who I want to get replaced by. So actually I was able to bring a mentee that I think I'm going to work for her one day to the team. And then when I'm a manager, I'm like, I just want to work with you because like you're so smart. And then she's like, oh no, you're my mentor. I'm like, oh no, I'm going to work for you in 5 years. Like that's a fact. But because you always have to think like that, like who's going to replace me? And I don't think we're doing that as companies in tech right now. And I don't know what we're going to see that then we're going to have to hire like a bunch of juniors and it's going to take us more time to ramp them up and we have to dedicate more time to the people versus the production. And I think we'll see when that happens and how we will sort it. Maybe it'll be another 2021 kind of style, like, yes, let's hire and invest people. But we will have to see the damage first for the companies to want to change and do that. And I don't know what the damage will be yet. But I do know, like, if there's no one to replace you, then how will the company continue?
It's interesting because I've heard quite often actually that it's the junior designers that are going to get squeezed out. Um, but I think there's also a risk to like seniors as well. It's like, so I've also heard the argument that junior designers are going to be more native to the tools,
Yeah.
because they're kind of growing up with the technology, with the AI. They're probably learning design
More
through
adaptable.
AI as well, right? So they might end up becoming more proficient, and then the whole strategy piece doesn't necessarily have to come from them. It can come from the AI itself. So I've heard an argument that it's actually the seniors that might end up getting squeezed and pushed out, and the juniors are going to rise up a lot faster than they used to.
I can see that. Like actually, one of the senior executives at Microsoft did say like we will try to invest in juniors exactly because of that. They're native to the AI. And so they really know all. And also when you're a junior, you're more adaptable and flexible because the sky is, the world is your oyster and there's so many opportunities. You think very positively because you don't know what you don't know. And it's easier also to like influence where they should go. And so I do think that might be a thing. But what I see right now, we just need executives are looking to produce, but maybe in 6 months it's going to be like, I don't know, but I could see that. I could see that point of view. Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
I think the answer is no one knows, but it's interesting because it can literally go in any of these directions. Like, any of these theories are plausible, right?
At the end of the day, how you produce value to the company. What value do you bring? And maybe the value is saving costs because the junior designer is doing most of like the little things nobody wants to do, right? With AI, and they're more experts in AI and they're connecting the systems. Great, they're bringing value. And then like as a senior designer, what value are you bringing to the company? Like, are you saving them talking business, the revenue, the cost, conversion, adoption, retention? And so if you're not in any of those or the quality of, and then you're gonna get behind.
Yeah, absolutely. What I think I like about what both of you are saying is it's definitely a conversation to be had, right? Or companies need to invest or think about it. Because, you could run into a difficult situation, especially with, I see it as two tracks as well, because one thing is we're going into this new interface, this AI interface, but then also what goes into the interface is important. So someone with more experience will prompt a better output than someone with less experience. So that junior person needs to learn the process and understand about different key aspects around the design process. So it's two parallel tracks that need to kind of happen, right?
But maybe the junior will take them 10 days to acclimate, and maybe for me it took me 3 years. Right? Because the tools were not there. And so I'm more behind and I'm less of a faster learner perhaps because I'm older and all of these things. And maybe more junior, just recently out of college, also has more energy. I have a family now, so I cannot invest in the weekends. And maybe they do, right? So I think it's going to be the speed of the output too.
Yeah, that's interesting as well. Because I've had a few conversations with, because obviously we're all kind of getting older, etc., having families. I'm having a few conversations with people, and maybe there's a better word than threat, but there's people who are a lot younger who are able to work all hours of the day and, like you said, the weekend and stuff. So the perceived output is a lot higher because they're able to invest more time. How can people who are more kind of senior kind of, I guess, compete in that environment? And maybe it's an experience thing. Maybe we can do things a lot faster because of the experience we have.
I think so. It's the work smart, not hard. And like more juniors, they don't know what they don't know, so they have to spend more time. Like I know I spent a lot of time. Actually, I had a manager that I don't agree with what he told me, but at that time I was very frustrated. I was not getting the senior promotion. Like, well, what am I doing? It's like, well, you don't have a family, you should work more. Like work more hours. I'm like, well, I chose to not have a family, so why would I have to work out to my working hours? Like it's my decision. I want to go do exercise. I want to go with my community, with my friends. But that was his perspective because that's what he did when he was younger. And so I do think that it's going to be the juniors are gonna have to take more time to learn, and as a senior, you already did it for 10, 8 years, whatever it is. So you already know and can produce something quicker. But the thing is that are you adaptable with the new tools? Are you flexible with the new, like, we don't know if we're gonna be product designers. Maybe what if we're just product? What if we're just, I don't know, we become part of the UX engineers? I don't know what's our role gonna be. But you have to be open. And maybe juniors are more open to that because they don't know what they don't know. They haven't gone through the design process for 10 years, right? And it's going to take them a while to figure it out too.
How does someone work smarter, in your opinion?
Just through, like, again, finding the right problem. Like, if you're just producing because someone told you to do something, like, question it. Like, why are you doing it? This is providing value. And then, like, yeah, sometimes I get asked, can you do a prototype? I'm like, why? Like, tell me more. Like, are you going to show it to which customer? And then what do we need from that customer? Do you need this specific prototype? Maybe you just need a screen. Maybe you don't need a full working prototype that I'm going to take 1 week. Maybe you just need literally an image in PowerPoint. So it's like doing the right questioning. And then I always, how do you say that leverage the people work of others. So I usually like, oh, but Warren already did something similar. Let me talk to her and bring it in, change it a little bit for our thing. Instead of taking 2 days, it was 1 hour. And then, like, here you go. This is what you actually were looking for. So it's like, and at the end of the day, leveraging the work of others is like Andy Warhol, great artist. Still, you copy.
Yeah.
And it's true. Like, if you have a brilliant idea, let me put a yes and, right? Like, why do I think I have to be original and do all the work and do all the hard things? And I'm spending more time if I know at the end of the day, like, your idea was the right one. And of course, I will give credit. That's a whole thing, right? It's like going back to the give credit, like, oh, it was Jay's idea and I just added this. And yeah, so that's how I think about it.
That's an interesting point as well. So when is the right time to be original?
You have to see the gap, I think. If nothing exists that you can think of, then that's what you need, something original. And I do research, like, and I go to the other Microsoft products that are outside my organization to see if they have something similar, so I can just steal it and use it. And then I say, oh, we're one Microsoft. I'm being consistent with the company. And it's true. Like, the customer will expect the same output. But if I don't see that, then I do and go back to design. Actually, I designed this beautiful, like, in context suggestions with a moving gradient. And I wanted just to copy whatever M365 had, but they didn't have anything like that. So I'm like, okay, then I have to do it, and I have to spend time. I have to convince the engineer to do my beautiful gradient. Yeah, so I try to do first my research, and then if I see, like, okay, nobody's doing this, then I just become the original and do something there.
What about when it comes to competition? So I see a lot of products out there, and everything is starting to look very similar. And I worked for a few companies, and we're like, we need to do what X are doing. And then I know people that work there as designers, and they're saying, oh, we need to do what you're doing. And then it's just like a constant loop of copying one another. How do we, because I feel like each company is trying to steal market share from their competition. But can we truly achieve that by becoming our competition? Or do we need to be much more original?
I think
ideas?
It's more on the customer, right? Like, are you solving the same problem as a competitor? Then you're gonna most probably come up with the same solution. To be honest, like, it's not, maybe I didn't look at the competitor and I came up with the same output. But because we're solving the same problem and we have maybe the same data points. But where true innovation happens is when you, instead of just copying your competitor, you're talking to customers. Because sometimes what happens, leadership is like, I saw our competitors did this, go ship it. It's like, no, let's talk to our customers to see if we need something like that first. What problem are we solving for? Is this really needed? What really are their needs? And that's when innovation happens. And I think that's something that Amazon's really good at because they're first customer obsessed. So it's like, it's not around the competitors. And maybe you will come up with the same output. but I think it's okay.
Mm.
I don't think as the new standards of AI are happening, I think we're gonna copy each other accidentally and maybe non-accidentally as well. But also, like as a human, I expected like if I go to a chat to be the same. I expect the right value and then like the things here. So if you come in and you say, no, I'm gonna create a model and then you're gonna do this, it's like, well, all the other 3 products I've used are like this. Why are you changing it? Now I don't like yours. Because now the industry standard is like this. So we're right now starting to do industry standards on the AI, which didn't exist before. So maybe before it was like more innovative. But now they're getting into the standard, then customers expected. Like the web browsers, we'll have the click, minimize, and expand.
Yeah.
All of them. And you could say the same thing, right? Like when the web, the dot boom happened, you could say like they were all, competing. But yeah.
Yeah, I think it's good points that you're making there. I think the challenge that you or that I kind of see that could be a problem is because we're always trying to move so fast. And then does it give us enough time to speak to customers? Now, I know we should be. There's it's a non-negotiable, right? I believe personally it's a non-negotiable. However, if I circle back around to what we were saying before, where you've got, your leadership now, like prompting AI, everyone's getting impatient. They want stuff quickly. And so then that designer there will probably just, go with the quick solution because it exists, as you said. It's probably solving the problem, but actually maybe it could have drove more revenue. It could have been better solved if I had have spent a bit more time speaking to customers and so on. Do you think that's a challenge that we could see happening?
I think that's a challenge that happens right now. Yeah, totally. I think it's been happening for, at least for me, all of my career. That's very normal. But I think it's questioning the leadership. Where did you get this idea from? Okay, you said I'm a competitor. Okay, why do you think our customers will benefit? It's asking the way, because sometimes the leadership talk to other CEOs and other things, and they talked about the problem, but they're not communicating to us. So we feel like there's this person that doesn't even know the product and then just telling me what to do. But behind the scenes, they were already talking to investors, to maybe our competitors, because usually they're friends, right? Like executives. And they understand where the market is going. So you have to ask questions like, why do you think we should do that? Why? And maybe that saved you going through a user journey, talking to a customer for a week, because now you understand the data points, where it's coming from. The other thing, like do something rough. Like, of course, if you're in consumer, it's easier because you go with someone next door, like, hey, can you try this? If you're in enterprise, it's harder. But for example, at Microsoft, we have every other week a customer advisory board. So as designers, we can just put ourselves in the line. So that's what I told recently my mentee. I actually was in the opposite direction where my manager wanted to go. And so for her, she was hearing very different things. She's like, who do I listen to? The lead or my manager? Well, at the end of the day, promotes her and gives her rewards, right? So I'm like, why don't you talk? And I told her, you make the decision. If you think I'm right, great. If you think our manager is right, great. Go to it. Why don't you go to the customer advisory board? It's going to take you 2 weeks. So before that, try to go with research, show it to research in case they remember like a customer told them something. And if they remember, then you get those data points so you can make the right decision. Because research has been doing research for a long time, so they might know that overarching problem. So let's bring them in. And then, okay, now go talk to the customers. Now you got the actual data to present, right? Maybe sometimes we don't have those 2 weeks, so we have to just do the research. Hey, what have you heard last week from customers? I have this problem. Where do you think they should go?
Yeah. Feels like research needs to speed up as well. That's the thing.
I feel bad for them with all the experimental stuff. And then sometimes I tell them, can you do some utility tomorrow? Because I need to know. And it's like, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, all these parts of the process, the output is definitely sped up, but every single part of the design process needs to now move a lot faster. And how can we use AI to accelerate it? Really interesting topics. And it's been great speaking to you as well, Anna.
Thank you.
And where can we find you? Is there a place that you usually?
Yeah, LinkedIn. Usually that's where I respond to people. I have on my website too, Ana Sofia gonzalez.com, but just reach out to LinkedIn at Ana Sofia Gonzalez. And yeah, just reach out.
Awesome. It's been a pleasure having you.
Yeah,
And
thank you so much.
great answers to all the questions.
Yeah.
I love
Thank
it.
you. It's great.
Thank you.